Wow! Another good episode of One Punch Man. I've noticed something. I noticed that every time Garo has, like, a major spotlight, usually they really want to make it look good. They really want to go out of their way and try to make the episode look as good as possible. Which, you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm happy to see that at least these final episodes of One Punch Man Season 2 is pretty good. Like, animation-wise, to music, it's pretty good. So, let's just get right into it. Garo. Garo is trying to become the ultimate monster. It's something that we know about already. But you could kind of say this right here, this episode is kind of like one of the final steps he needs to take before he truly becomes the ultimate monster. Because we gotta look at what's kind of happened these past few episodes. He had a brief fight with Watchdog, and he got defeated obviously, but he walked off. But he was ready for more. He sees King, and he was about to initiate against King, and obviously Saitama put him through a wall, went unconscious. He got up, he realized how damaged he was, he needed a rest, which led into the events for last week's episode. And you see how a bunch of A-class heroes and stuff, or lower-class heroes, started to attack him because, they found him. But the thing is that he was already at his limit. He was at the point to where he couldn't really fight. Like, he really cannot fight people right now because of how damaged he was. But he had to regardless, or he was either going to die or get captured, and his journey to become the ultimate monster would end. And he does defeat the heroes, but he has to push himself. And that entire scene where he's talking about they're like a staircase, he needs to go up this staircase, it's kind of like him saying, I need to overcome this threshold. I need to be able to break my limits. And that's what he was doing. When he was talking about the staircase, he was talking about reaching a plateau to where he is definitely broke his human limits, and now he has become a monster. And you could kind of say from the events of this episode, that's exactly what he did. He definitely broke his limits as a human being. Because what he was doing, going beyond the pain, and being able to fight back against these heroes in the state he was in, is definitely ridiculous. Especially when you think about the reason why he's so injured. Like I said, Saitama put him through a wall, and he's still trying to get up and walk away, which, even if Saitama didn't use full force or anything to, hurt the man and end him, the point is, he still took a hit from Saitama, and we saw how damaged he was. So for him to still try to fight in that condition, I think Saitama indirectly has helped this man evolve, because it's put him in a state now to where he has to fight against these odds that is almost impossible, and this condition is forcing him either A, to adapt, or fail and fall from grace and not be what he wants to be. So, that's the point here. Which, by the way, I want to talk about, the fight in general, the numbers. So, Garo's backstory, once again, gets expanded upon a little bit more. We see him as a child, and a bunch of other kids around him are talking about heroes and all that. They're talking about a fight and all that with the Crabman and these heroes that took down the Crabman. And you see how they're all cheering, they're happy and all that the heroes won. But then Garo speaks up, but he's like, it was a 3v1, and Crabman was just like trying to protect the environment and all that. He was protecting the ocean. And in that moment, it lets you kind of see what Garo is trying to get at, or what he is actually fighting for, what he's doing now, and wanting to become a self-proclaimed monster, or the ultimate monster. He realizes that, at the end of the day, there is monsters that probably have noble goals. Goals that are even more noble than what the heroes want. Like, we've already seen that a lot of heroes throughout this series are relatively corrupt, or they have motives that are not necessarily good. And we've just seen that, they're too focused on ratings and different things, and just like, we've seen that a lot of heroes don't have noble things. But the same can be said for monsters too. But that's the point, is that Garo was wanting to make a point that monsters are the same way. There is monsters that have goals that actually want to make the world a better place. There is truly monsters like that are not playing around wanting to make jokes and then backstab humanity. There's actually monsters that truly want to make the world a better place, but they're stopped because the heroes stop monsters. They don't look at a monster like, are they good or are they bad? They think all monsters are bad and they take them out. And Garo wanted to prove that point. That's what he's trying to prove, is that some monsters do have noble intentions. And that is why he's doing what he's doing right now. And so, in a way, Garo is fighting for monsters' rights. At least the good monsters. He is fighting for their rights in the future. That's the way you can look at his character. But it doesn't just stop at that. Let's look at the fight in general that happened within this episode, in the last episode. Garo, once again, he's being classified as a monster. And when we think about it, if we didn't understand Garo's point of view, and we were following the main characters, like the heroes or whatever, then we would look at someone like Garo, he needs to be taken down. It's a fair fight. But that's the thing. See, many people don't typically think about this, but when you see villains pop up and it's like a 5v1 against the main character, you're like, that's unfair. You're teaming up against the main character and all that. But then you see 5 heroes pop up against one villain, and everybody cheers like cooperation. They're working together to take down this big bad and all that. It's a fair fight now. Which I think is very hypocritical. And I think that's the point here. What is also being tried to be made is that if the situation was reversed, we would actually be sad. Like, people would be looking like, Garo, he needs to be teamed up on. This is a fair fight. But in reality, it isn't. It was not a fair fight at all, but he still managed to overcome it. And he was proving that heroes don't always win either. That, monsters can win too. So that's also what he was trying to prove in that moment. So, I do like Garo's motives, the way it's getting dived into and expanded upon, along with just the messages of how we view heroes and villains in the first place. So, once again, this is why I love One's writing. One truly knows how to make you start thinking about situations like this when it comes to society or just, problems people face and stuff. He really makes you start to think. That's why I love Mob Psycho so much. Mob Psycho 100 has a fantastic, fantastic story and characters, and One really proves himself as a writer, and One Punch Man is another example of that. It really dives into some elements that you don't actually see often discussed. But okay, enough with that though. Let's talk about the fight. So, the fight that happens, Garo obviously improves quite a bit. He's able to take down these A-class heroes in his weakened state, and he's able to actually hold back and defend against firearms, which is an incredible boost to his power, because that means now that no amount of firepower is really going to be able to stop him. He's now able to kind of block it, and so you're going to have to use something much bigger and larger and destructive to be able to bring him down. So, Garo is slowly improving. As he continues to move up the ladder and take down heroes and pushed against his limit, he is improving. He's becoming scarier and scarier. When you look at his fight against Genos, obviously Genos was winning, but once again, it wasn't really a fair fight. Garo has been in multiple fights one after another, non-stop, and he is so weakened, but he was putting up a relatively good fight against Genos before you had someone like, Bane come in, Silver Fang, and strike at him. So, it makes you wonder, like, what's going to happen? I mean, is Garo going to go down, or is he going to be able to surpass his master, be able to reach a new plateau that he hasn't seen before? Because I think that is going to be the ultimate challenge, because if Garo can take down Silver Fang, it means that he has finally surpassed his master in strength, which means now he's on his way to really start challenging S-class heroes. And once he continues to build up from that, then I don't think any S-class hero will relatively be A-okay to fight him. They'll probably get demolished if they don't work together, which eventually might lead to Saitama having to step in. So there is a lot of things that's building up, and I think one of the main crucial points is that Garo is learning and adapting as this series continues. Like the entire scene where he's using Watchdog's techniques to get around Genos and strike at him proves how he learns and adapts. And he's probably going to learn a lot from Genos in his fighting style, but also from Silver Fang too. So, let's talk about Saitama. So, Saitama, he has a brief scene in this episode where he loses to King. Even though King allows Saitama to get him down to 1 HP, he just demolishes Saitama instantly after he lets him have that feeling of like, oh, I'm gonna win. And he basically breaks down Saitama as a character, not just as a video gamer, but as a character. See, he's like, you know, I gave you an inch, I let you feel good about yourself, I let you be able to get me down low in health, and then I demolish you, because I was able to demolish you so easily, even though you had the advantage, because you kept doing something so simple. You had no technique. You just kept spamming a certain punch or kick or whatever, and it was just something so predictable that I could easily counter it. And that's kind of what Saitama is in the first place. When you think about his fighting style in general, Saitama is someone that doesn't really have a complex fighting style. And I think that's what the martial arts tournament was really trying to show, is that the only reason why Saitama is able to win is because of his overwhelming strength. He doesn't have fancy techniques or anything like that that looks like dancing. He just punches and that's it. That's all he needs to do. Just sheer willpower and power. That's all he has. And so there is no technique involved whatsoever. And because of that, I feel like it represents, like, it deconstructed his character. Like, that's what King did. He's like, that is the reason why you can't win against me in video games. Your technique of what you use in real life won't work against me in video games because you actually need to be able to learn strategy. Because Saitama may be strong, but he never learns strategy. And who knows, he might have to learn that when he finally goes up against Garo. But okay, I think I want to wrap up this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you got this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you want to get notified, hit that bell icon. And with that, Chibi out.